Hello, how are you, Brock?
I'm good. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. To start, I wanted to ask you with Ryan Murphy projects, especially ones like this, what is the process like when you are not like when you're auditioning, but also like when it is something that is kind of such a weird abstract concept in a story about Ed Gein? What for you is like how did you get pitched something like this and figure out exactly how that would even play out in the sequel?
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm a big fan of Ryan Murphy's projects. I watched all the American Horror Stories I think it's it's such a specific style of storytelling. And to be honest, the third season really breaks the mold of what they had sort of established with Dahmer and Menendez. And um, by the nature of the story they're telling, like you said, it is sort of particular because it's cutting back and forth between um, you know, the historical accounts and speculation, and then also the films and further things that were inspired by Ed Gein. It was an audition just like any other. I believe the breakdown was for Gunnar Hansen. I knew that it was for Ryan Murphy production, but when you go in, you don't really have a full set. So much of this was under wraps even from us. And so when we got the scripts, it was mostly for our scenes, and I was mostly with the Texas Chainsaw group. But there were a couple of days and moments where I was on set with Charlie, or I got to meet Joey, who played Anthony Perkins. Our final scene that we kind of all did together with all the characters that were inspired of the cemetery. I was there with Golden Garnick, who plays Buffalo Bill. And so that was really special and really cool.
Yeah, I hate the sound of chainsaws. Like I hate it. I watched the
Yeah,
Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre. I was like, okay, cool, I got it. Like I'm good. And now that it's like rumored that like Glenn Powell's gonna make it with JT Mulner, I'm like, God damn it! Now I have to watch the
Now we're gonna
Texas
have to
Chainsaw.
watch that
Yeah, well,
now.
but now with this, I was like literally mentally preparing myself for that last scene when they're in the graveyard. Because I was like, "There's the truck. He's gonna come running with the chain." Like I knew it
Wow,
was
good
coming.
call.
But I was like, for you, how is it getting to recreate some of those iconic scenes from Texas Chainsaw in your own way? Because it's not like you're remaking the movie or anything like that. You're literally getting to kind of recreate. You're doing a recreation of what was actually being filmed instead. How was it like mapping out, character beats, but knowing you still had to hit certain kind of emotional moments for fans of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, so one of the things that really helped with that was obviously the masks, having the different masks and the different headspace, knowing the film chronologically. And even though we didn't shoot the entire movie, we shot a lot of moments from different parts of the film. And so obviously super familiar with the movie, studied a lot of, what Gunnar Hansen did, studied his book, Chainsaw Confidential, watched the documentary that had come out last year before Chain Reactions, which was called Dinner with Leatherface, which talks about Gunnar. Um, yeah, it was really especially fun to do the parts that Gunnar didn't get to do. So like even where the end scene chasing the truck is very much an homage to the ending of the movie. Uh, it was still kind of an original moment, to play the character and sort of take him out of the context and have it directly connected to Charlie, which was poignant, I think. But as far as my portion of it, anytime that mask was on, it was all about channeling Gunner, all about channeling Leatherface, and going all out. I think you mentioned the chainsaws. The other side of it is vocalizing and doing all these things, over the sound of chainsaws meant that we had to go, 12, not just 10, but up to 12 or 13, like really loud. Um, and I felt this sense of camaraderie on set, and Ian Brennan, who wrote this season, directed a few of our episodes, Max Winkler, who directed our episodes, they just were, we were all like kids in the candy store. And it was very much like, you know, this film stands on its own, and this is our opportunity to add a layer of context. And in order to do that and make the direct connection between Leatherface and Ed Gein and those moments, we had to go all out. And there could be no doubt that, I think I had a few people tell me and fans be like, those intercut scenes, it's hard to tell because it's so spot on. that it actually looked like it might have been from the movie. And that was the goal. The goal was to make you feel like you were watching the movie. And for me personally, draw you to the Toby Hooper film after, which is also on Netflix, which is cool and a nice little thing. So
Like it's all connected. Well, and I want to go back for a second to like the Ryan Murphy universe because I'm also
yeah.
a huge Ryan Murphy fan. I say it's at this point, it doesn't matter what it is. Even if I'm mad at it, I will watch it because it's Ryan Murphy and I've seen all of his stuff at this point. When you are in something like this, which is it is such an interesting thing because yes, it is one of his real people that he's investigating, but it's also like this season, like we said in particular, is unique and interesting because they are branching off into the things that Ed Gein inspired.
Right.
How is it to get to, bring that into a world for Ryan Murphy fans as one yourself and show that like, yeah, he can still do like weird and interesting things, him and Ian Brennan within the constructs of their own shows that they've created.
Yeah, well, I think specifically with Monster, each season is obviously they very much know the story they're telling, and the way they tell the story is different in every season. And I think coming into this, it was really exciting because it was very clear the message, the poignant message, which was like, there's a lot of conversation around scary movies. There's a lot of conversation around true crime, and there's a lot of sometimes there's pushback from people saying, "Hey, like these stories are really popular." And I think Monster season 3 goes, they're popular because there's an audience for it. And I think several moments in the show directly point back to the audience going, like Ed Gein talking to Anthony Perkins, being like, "You're the one who can't look away." So it's a really strong message, and I think it's delivered expertly. I mean, I think Ryan Murphy and Ian and the entire crew, they really knew not just the story they were telling, but how they wanted to tell the story. And it's very clear that the conversation, I think it's going to extend well past the Halloween season because it goes beyond the horror elements. It really does. Um, it drives into conversation like, yeah, imagine. And I mean, in the world that we're living in now, where we have social media, I mean, you had Ed Gein, who obviously had mental health issues and was predisposed to some of these issues, and saw imagery from something unspeakable at the time that changed his brain chemistry, possibly. The show would say that. And on a daily basis, as audience members, we're consuming content, and watching movies and TV. And on top of that, seeing real atrocities through social media and real horrible things happening every day. Um, is that going to change us? And is that going to change the way that is that then going to inform the stories and the movies and the TV in order to keep up with the things we've already seen? And I think that's sort of what's brilliantly sort of tied through using even the Toby Hooper stuff, which was in the 70s. Yeah, he did look upon the horror genre as needing to step up the game because they had just gotten out of the Vietnam War. And now in 2025, all the things that we've lived through and all the horrible things that have happened in our world that we're aware of and have images and videos of. Um, does it put the onus on horror to go further? And I think the show does a great job of saying, before we focus on the genre and where the genre is going, how is the audience doing? How are you doing? And I think it really does put that in the lap of the audience in a way that was provocative and thoughtful. And I mean, had I not been in the show, I would have and have devoured it as a fan. I mean, it's got the undertones of everything you want in a Ryan Murphy show. It's fearlessly queer. It's playful. It's terrifying. It's uncomfortable. And there's so much show in this season. I think there were so many stories that they found to connect to it that there really is something for everybody. There's something for everyone to take away from this piece and to play a small part of it, but an important part of it because again, as the godfather of inspiring other serial killers and other horror figures, Leatherface and Ed Gein really share. We share those moments, those match cuts in the end of end of the series. Like you said, we're chasing the truck, and then the moment where the chainsaw drops and the camera goes up, and then Charlie steps in where Leatherface was, and in no uncertainty, saying like, yes, like it's all connected and inspired by, and yeah,
I'm an American Psycho like girly, like that's my favorite thing. And literally in the musical, he brings up Ed Gein, and I'm like, where was Patrick Bateman? He should have been part of
Yeah.
this. He could have been included. But my
Well,
last, sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, I was just going to say, funny enough, Street Food Cinema had us out this weekend, and they did a double feature of American Psycho into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So just know that I got to experience that together this weekend. That was awesome. It was a great double feature.
Somebody out there has my best interests at heart. Uh,
Absolutely.
for a last quick question, because I want to end it a little later.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned that you watched all of the American Horror Stories. As someone who loved Nip Tuck and Scream Queens and all those as a kid, I have to ask you if you could be in any Ryan Murphy show at any point in the world, him and Ian Brennan or just or whatever. What for you is the show that you're like, all right, I did Monster. I wish I could also do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it, and the opportunity to work with Ryan again. They were so generous and incredible collaborators, and it was just top, left to right, so much fun. I mean, they included me at every step of the process. They had me out at the premiere in New York, and it was amazing. And personally, um, I was a big fan of Dr. Odyssey and Mid-Century Modern. Those would have been my top two answers because I thought those were really fun. I think right now, if it wasn't a horror thing, like another iteration of Monster or American Horror Story, I'd probably have to say maybe one of the 911s because I love a good procedural. And I have not watched it yet, but it is next on my queue to watch the big crossover special where they go to space, and I think I I'm so excited. I'm gonna be at the edge of my seat. That's the kind of stuff that I would like if I was a part of that. I feel like it would just be um, you could just tell that everyone involved, and again, my experience with Ryan Murphy Productions, everyone involved is having a good time and is very much on the same page of what the story is that we're telling and how do we take it to the max. So yeah, so my answer would be a 911. It would be really kind of fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Bring the bees back.
I
Well, thank
want.
you. Thank you for talking with me. I really appreciate it. And if people haven't, I can't wait for them to get to see your take on Leatherface in Monster.
Thank you so much, Rachel.